Hello and welcome back to the channel, and we are here with a very special video. I've been really excited to share this one with you. Now, we know that last week a lot of the Hogwarts Legacy content creators were able to release some of the footage they got from the gameplay preview, where they were lucky enough to play 2 hours of the game. Now, I reached out to a few of them and asked if they would be willing to answer 5 of my questions in a Q&A session and let me know exactly what they thought of the gameplay that they got to partake in. I'm pleased to say that all of the creators I reached out to actually agreed to do this, and I really appreciate them so much. I just want to say a massive thank you to all of them, and let's see who they are now.
Hello, Last Marauder, and everyone watching. It's Profilnet from Wizard PhD, and I'm here to answer a few questions from the Hogwarts Legacy preview that I got to experience.
Last Marauder, thanks very much for asking me to appear on your video, mate, and answer some of these great questions that you've pinged my way off the back of the showcase I went to last week.
What's up, guys? Retro Raconteur here, just a dad who loves games and the stories they tell.
So, a massive thank you to Wizard PhD, Retro, and Andy for doing this. You guys, I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Now, I know if you're watching my video, the likelihood is you will know who these guys are because they are Hogwarts Legacy royalty. But if you do not know who they are, the links to their channels will be in the description down below. Please go and follow them. But let's not delay anymore and let's see exactly what they thought of the preview gameplay that they got to partake in last week.
So I think my favorite moment would have to be meeting everyone, and that goes from content creators to the developers, Boston and Alan. I could have talked to them all day, seriously, all day. I know we were there to play the game, and obviously people want to talk about the game, but really meeting all the creators like James, like Lynette. I met Miranda of the Mirandalorian for the first time, so it was just so cool to sit and talk content with everybody and to all be there and be excited for this game. And then, of course, the game actually ended up being really good, so that was great too. But really just being there in that kind of environment and talking with everyone was absolutely awesome.
Of what I can talk about, we have combat, and well, actually no, y'all already saw the gameplay. My favorite moment in combat was in the end, the quest where I was like, oh, enemies are done, and then bam, no, you're not done. An animagus is popping out. I think that was my favorite moment from what I could show from the gameplay.
I think for me, it was just exploring the Hogwarts grounds, the castle, and being able to just quickly jump onto my broom and then jump off it. I know it sounds quite simple, but I think being a fan of the series for so long, it was pretty sick to be able to actually just see the whole castle in like a AAA setting. I think the detail that the devs have put onto that put into the actual castle itself is pretty phenomenal, and I really can't wait to kind of go sneaking around and put a magnifying glass on some of these secrets that they've hidden away. I think it was actually the movement, to be honest with you. I think all of the showcases that we've seen so far, it's kind of been a wizard standing there, moving back and forth, just pinging off some spells between targets and just kind of doing that 360 rotation. So I was a bit hesitant to see what the actual character movement would be like when you're not in combat. And for me, I was really pleased actually, because I kind of threw the controller or the character in game around a lot. I was jerking the character back and forth, trying to kind of break the game, and I felt that the responsiveness and the fluidity of the actual character direction was really good actually. So diving, jumping, rolling, climbing, all animations really good, really responsive. So that's what I was surprised at, and it's a big tick for me. I'm looking forward to actually just using my character how I want to use my character, if you know what I mean.
What surprised me, I swear this is just going to be me talking about combat. Honestly, I am someone who, I don't mind combat, but I usually am messy with it. So if you're looking for some top tier like gaming with combat, that's not me, but I love to have a good time with it. So I wasn't sure what to expect with Hogwarts Legacy in terms of combat. And I will say that I was surprised that it was actually my favorite part of the game. Combat totally surprised me because I didn't think that I would enjoy it, but I wanted to keep going and fight people over and over again.
As far as surprises go, I think one of the biggest things that caught me a little bit off guard is just how cinematic it was right from the start. I mean, I felt like I was in another Wizarding World movie, like watching a Wizarding World movie for the first time. And I don't know that I've gotten that from all the trailers. I don't know why, because I mean, they've been pretty cinematic and it seems like the story was going to be interesting. But just something about picking up that controller for the first time and dropping right outside of Hogwarts, it felt so awesome. And you really can never know, at least I don't feel like with a video game, you know, it's one thing to see it and it's like, oh, this looks great, I think it could potentially be fun. But until you actually get the controller in your hand and feel how the character moves, it's really hard to say, in my opinion. And that first moment from when I just first took control of the character, seeing how everything moved in the world, I was in performance mode, so it was nice and smooth. That, to me, I don't know if I would say I was even surprised, but it was just the moment where I was just like, okay, this is legit. I feel like this game has the potential to be really, really special.
I mentioned this a little bit in my preview, and for me, it's not a total game breaker, but I am so into open world exploration. And I think what I've been trying to do, and I think this preview tempered my expectations a bit, is, you know, I love Breath of the Wild, I love Skyrim, and I really love the openness of this game of like literally whatever my chaotic brain wants to do, I can try to do it and have something happen, some sort of interaction happen. This is not that. So I think that it's not that I didn't like it. It's just that it basically pulled me down from my expectations of, it's not, you know, you have the full reins and can do whatever. There are some constraints that you may experience in the open world aspect of the game, but still, like, it's a gorgeous game and it was a lot of fun to explore. So I don't think it's anything that is a super big complaint that I have. It's just something to keep in mind.
To be totally honest, there wasn't anything glaring. I mean, there were some issues here and there. I think the facial animations and that voice capture still just a little bit off. It's almost there, but there's still something that just looks slightly off with it. A few graphical issues here and there. I had some pop in with mine, some loading screens. As far as the actual gameplay goes, there was that lockpicking minigame, which I think a lot of people were kind of confused on exactly how to do it. And then for me, at least, it just didn't feel very accurate, I guess I would say. It was almost too precise. Like, you had to hold your controller in just the right spot for it to actually work. But as far as anything major, I couldn't think of anything. And I think that's a testament to what they showed us. But also, you hope when the full game comes out, now you start looking for things like, well, you hope you don't have repetitive quests. You hope things are going to be fresh. You hope the progression is going to be nice, so it doesn't get repetitive, that sort of thing. But in terms of what we saw, those were really the things I pointed out in my video. Those were the big things. And I am even more excited knowing that it's just those minor issues. And I mean, hopefully that's it. Hopefully when the full game comes out and you have that day one patch, it'll run even better than what we saw, which would be amazing.
I think it's been a polite criticism from myself since I actually saw some of the dialogue options throughout the games. I think that some of the the motion capture of certain dialogue cutscenes and some of the voice acting in certain scenarios isn't great enough for me to notice, kind of throw me out and say, that doesn't really add up. When I say it doesn't really add up, I'm kind of thinking that doesn't sound like a conversation that you and I would be having, if that makes sense. Now, some people have said that it's fine and it looks great to them, and that's awesome. But for me, it kind of throws me out of the game, throws me out of that immersion whenever I see something which just doesn't land as well as it should.
I mean, can I keep talking about combat? How did combat feel? So honestly, okay, this actually kind of relates to all the things I've been saying, is that, like, one of the reasons I think that combat was super appealing to me, even if I wasn't that great at it, or I was like, oh no, there's a basic attack, I forgot about it, I'm spamming the main spells and nothing's happening, is that it was fully interactive. And it's like, to me, it was the most interactive piece of it, where all sorts of stuff was happening and like things were getting set on fire, things were getting knocked off. It was great to have that experience. It was super smooth. And it was just, there were a lot of like really high moments that happened where it was like, oh, I did a Protego shield and there's a Stupefy. So I think that's probably the reason why combat was my favorite part, is because for what happened in the open world where I got kind of blocked off from certain things, which again is fine, I got to experience fully in combat. So, and there was just, I know that it was like my first battle they were throwing us into. And I know that there will probably be some sort of like expertise gain the more and more that I battle, but it was just so much fun. I can't emphasize how fun it was.
I think it felt great. It's a massive positive for me. I think there's lots of different layers, and I don't want to take up your whole video here going into it, but I really enjoyed being able to be forced to move around a lot. Like I said earlier, you're not just having to stand there flicking back and forth between the targets. You've got enemies like goblins with axes who are going to charge towards you and try and smack you in the face with that axe, and then you've also got ranged enemies who are pinging a lot of spells at you, so you really are forced to move around and be quite mobile, and that gets you thinking. And then if you add a lot of those kind of spells on cooldowns, you have to balance a lot, and yeah, a real positive. As someone who plays a lot of RPG games, it's challenging, and I'm looking forward to getting to grips with it.
The combat was maybe the most impressive part of the whole demo, honestly. That was something that I felt for a while they really had to nail, because it's something that no other Wizarding World game, no other Harry Potter game has ever been able to get just right, at least in my opinion, to avoid it just feeling like spam, right? Where you're just spamming a button, firing spells over and over. And if you look at the past games, they've handled it in different ways. And they've gotten close a couple of times, but nothing anywhere near to what we experienced with this. And I think there's going to be a pretty big learning curve, but in a good way. I think it's going to start off very simple. We don't know how many spells you're going to have. I mean, right at the beginning of the game, maybe it's 1, 2, 4. I definitely know it's not going to be 8, because you eventually start expanding that wheel, which I think they bumped us up to level 19. So we jumped to a different part of the game. We don't know how far into the game that was, but the story mission that put us into the game at level 19. So all of a sudden we had 8 spells, and being able to switch back and forth between those, it was a little jarring at first, because we went from having just 4 spells, where it was very simple, to all of a sudden we have 8. And I like that. I like the challenge. I think people are going to really be surprised by the combat. And that was something, I mean, looking at other people's videos, I would say it was almost unanimous, as everyone was either pleasantly surprised by the combat, or they had thought it looked good originally and it looked even better when they actually got a chance to play it. So I thought the combat was fantastic. I've said the whole time, I think it's going to be easy to get in and start, but very difficult to master, which is exactly what I look for in a good combat system in any game.
I'm pretty buzzed, to be honest with you. I think that it's not a game changer in terms of open world RPG games from what we've seen so far, and you could kind of say the same thing about the story. But one thing that this game has got going for it is its IP. And what I mean by that is its wands, and being able to cast spells in games, and being able to summon fire tornadoes and stuff. And there's a lot of RPG games which, have magic in them, Forspoken being a recent example, but this one is, unique in itself. And the reason why I want to play this game, and I'm trying to be as objective as possible, is because it's fresh, it's new, and we haven't seen a Wizarding World with all of the lore attached to it like AAA game. And that's why I'm really keen to get back involved with it and see what they've done with this really rich IP. So I'm looking forward to playing more, and from what I've played so far, it's been really great, and I'm looking forward to hearing your thoughts on it, and everybody else who watched this video watches this video. But
before this event, I rated my hype level, my excitement meter, whatever you want to call it. I had it at about a 9 out of 10. And obviously, making as many videos as I have for this game, you have to be pretty excited about it. But I also feel like I've had realistic expectations throughout. And there was a chance, that this game didn't feel very well, or that it wouldn't play very well, wouldn't run very well. Now that I've gotten my hands on it, my hype is at a 10 out of 10. And that doesn't mean I think it's going to be a 10 out of 10 game. However, that's where my excitement is. And regardless of any issues it has, I have no doubt that Wizarding World fans are just going to have a fantastic time with it. I mean, even if it was just exploration and nothing else. But having already seen the combat and knowing how good it is, knowing how good Hogwarts looks, I think people are going to be very, very pleased. And I just hope that the quality that we saw is able to continue throughout the whole game.
I I can't. I just can't. I cannot. I cannot wait. And I'm not just excited for myself. I am literally so excited for y'all to experience Hogwarts Legacy, because then I'll get to creep on your screenshots and clips and funny moments and all of that. And I just I don't even know what to say. Whenever I get this question, I'm like, just wait. It's going to be worth it. Just wait.
So there you have it. That was my Q&A session with a few of the Hogwarts Legacy content creators who got to play the gameplay showcase. Now, put any questions you've got for them in the comments below. Providing there's not any spoilers, I will see if I can get them to answer for me, and I will get back to you in the comments below. Also, if you want to speak to me about anything, please just drop a comment. I do reply to everyone. Or if you want to discuss things outside of this video, then come on over to Twitter and follow me there, or join my growing Discord. I just want to say thank you to Wizard, PhD, Retro, and Andy for doing this. I know they are all very excited to play Hogwarts Legacy and share it with you.
Thanks so much, and until next time, Juan's ready.
Thank you so much for inviting me on. I really appreciate it. Keep smashing it on YouTube, and I'll catch you in the bizzle. Ciao, ciao.
Thanks so much for having me on. Can't wait to experience Hogwarts with all of you here in just a few more days.
As always, thank you to the members of the channel. Your support is so appreciated. But that is it for this video. I really do hope that you enjoyed it. I cannot wait to see you in the next one. Until then, mischief managed.